Hi world!
What's up, guys?
Look at our trench. So we want to talk about this for just a minute. Our main sewer line on Sunday backed up. It was really bad. It actually backed up 2 times, and we had a couple plumbing companies come out. Very long story short, they quoted us at over $20,000 in order to replace this pipe here. Okay, $20,000 is a lot of money, especially when insurance, your home insurance, does not cover that. So we decided to do our very own DIY, and this is what we have. James.
I dug the whole thing with this shovel.
Ha!
Not really.
I did. Just kidding.
Bethany did.
So tell us, James, what did we do?
Well, so yeah, what the plumbing company quoted us on doing was they were gonna dig a hole right here where the plumbing comes out of the house. And they were going to dig a hole in the middle of the road over there where the plumbing meets the main sewer line. And then in between the two, they were going to take what's called a pipe burst, an equipment to be able to burst the pipe. And they run it through, and it's like a big old cog like this, and they just force it through, and it kind of destroys the pipe as it goes. And then they'd run a new pipe behind it.
Correct. So it was going to destroy this pipe right here?
This pipe and run new pipe in the same hole without having to do this big trench, really. But,
so tell us what that would entail. There's 2 holes, right?
There's 2 holes and
the same depth.
Same depth.
8 to 9 feet.
About 8.5 feet, and same in the road, about however deep they need it to be. And then they would just pull, they would leave this old pipe in there, and they just run new pipe. And I mean, it sounds like a great idea. However, and this is a big however. That would have been
$20,000 out of your own pocket.
$20,000, yeah. So we got 2 quotes. One was for $24,800-ish. The other one was technically for $23,000, but I was really like, I didn't want to do it, so we kept dropping the price, and finally they got down to $20,500. I still didn't want to do it. I needed time to think about it. So after they left, Bethany and I got to talking, and so when they had come, they had run a camera down through the line. And we had seen that it was really just this section that was really bad.
Not in the road.
Not all the way to the road. So then we decided we're going to just dig up our front yard and replace the bad pipe. And that's what we've done.
So tell us how big. Obviously you said it's 8.5 feet deep. How wide is our trench?
Well, our trench, the bucket of the backhoe was 2 feet deep. But as we kept digging, this soil is really sandy. It's really weak sauce. So it kept caving in. So down here it's like 5 feet wide, but all the way down here, it's between 2, 1 foot, 3 feet wide, etc.
Now most soil isn't like ours, just this area where we live.
It just depends
on where you live.
It could be like this. I mean, this is probably 30% of areas will have soil like this, but some's going to be harder and gravelly. It really just depends on how they backfilled your house when they put the plumbing in.
So how would someone that's listening to this do this themselves? What did we do digging this hole? Obviously you said you didn't do it by hand.
Right.
What did it cost, and what did we do?
Here in Clearfield, Utah, we had to get a permit. The permit that I got as an owner builder allowed me to dig up anything inside of my own property. So I couldn't go beyond the park strip. And so then what I did is I got a permit to dig up and replace my own sewer line in my yard. We then rented a backhoe.
Well, second step was to blue stake.
Oh, that's a good point. Sorry, good call. So then we had to get a blue stakes. And again, here in Utah, blue stakes are free, and it's probably free everywhere.
Just remind everyone what blue stakes is.
Blue stakes just means it's just kind of like a
safety.
It's a safety. It's like a governmental organization that has that basically can request utility companies to come and mark where the utilities are underground.
So it's basically a records holding area where they know where the gas line is.
Well, actually, Blue Stakes doesn't know. Blue Stakes tells
the
utility companies to come and mark where their things are. So utility companies know where their lines are. Blue Stakes is the organization that, I'm not sure if they pay for it or if it's government funded or what, but they then tell who the governing bodies are to come and mark it up.
Mark the electric,
the
gas,
the water, the sewer, the phone lines, the internets, whatever you have. So then we had to get a
So that you don't dig up an
you don't
electric
dig up
line or a gas
some
line.
other line. Yeah. So the rule is you cannot use equipment to dig within 2 feet of any utility that you're not working on. So like we couldn't dig within 2 feet of a power line or a gas line.
Correct.
But you can dig it out with a shovel, just not with equipment. Good news is we didn't have any of that here. It's all everywhere else, thankfully. And so again, we got that, and you can tell when you put in the Blue Stakes request, it's free. Here in Utah, it's 811, or you just go online to bluestakes.org, and you go through and you request the information, or you request the blue staking, them to come out and paint your lawn and everything. And you can put in there that this is a main sewer backup, for example, and that it's free. Anyways, so that's what we did next. Then we rented a backhoe. We had a backhoe come and dig this up, and that's where we ended up at.
Awesome. So tell us about the backhoe experience.
So we just rented it from a nearby company. They charged $200 to deliver, then they charged $600 a day, and we got it. They came and delivered it at like 10 a.m., 11 a.m., something like that.
On Saturday.
And then we ran the backhoe, and as you can see, we got piles of dirt everywhere. So we dug it up, and we started right here. Well, first actually we had to move some bushes, but once we had everything mobilized and ready, we started right here, and we dug down and down and down until we found the existing line coming out of the house. In our house, it was cast iron that came out from under the house, and then right here is where it merged to the Orangeburg pipe, which is what we were replacing. So that first little bit, that took like 2 or 3 hours to get to here. But then from
with
here
the backhoe,
we just flew through it. Yeah, with the backhoe. Dig. We were putting dirt here, and then we were shoveling. We'd only dig down to right above the pipe. We didn't want to damage the pipe itself, even though it's already bad. But we didn't want to like grab it with the backhoe and potentially, pull or bend or anything, any of the other pipe we didn't want to touch. So then we dug down close to it with the backhoe. Then with the shovel, we shoveled out around the pipe. We pulled the pipe out. We bought new pipe, and we got the right rubber fittings.
Tell us about that. So how would you measure what you need for the fittings and the pipe itself? How did you know what size of pipe to get?
Right. Well, so in general, this industry standard is a 4-inch pipe for main sewer lines.
4-inch diameter.
4-inch diameter. However, let's say you come down here, you can't really measure diameter because it's already down here. So actually what you do is you measure the circumference. Then you go to your local plumbing store, whoever, and you give them the circumference of the 2 pipes you're joining, and they will give you a rubber boot that'll make that splice really good.
Awesome. So the rubber boot, what's the purpose of that?
Okay, so the rubber boot
is buried.
Most plumbing, like in your house, you'll take the blue and the purple glue and you'll glue the pipe together. For an underground sewer line, you actually don't do that because it's not pressurized. It's just, it's free flowing as it comes out of the house. So you actually don't glue anything together. You just kind of, you connect it with, in this case, this rubber boot, and it's just like really so you put the rubber boot on the one end, then you slide the new pipe in on the other end, and then it's got these 2 metal bands that you tighten down with a screwdriver or a drill with a ratchet head. You tighten those down, and it really is like a compression fit, and it holds them together and it seals it. Now it's not glued together, but it's still a good seal because it's rubber and it's really tightened, a big nice compression fit.
So this is what you do to basically connect the 2 pipes, so the cast iron and then this new plastic pipe that you purchased. Yep. Which plastic is the industry standard?
The new industry standard.
Correct.
Yep. Obviously this pipe was what was used 66 years ago.
And it only lasts, well, the lifespan is supposed to be between 30 and 40 years for Orangeburg, which is nothing if you think about the length of a house. But
yeah, I mean, it's been working good for us.
So then you had to put the rubber here and then also on this other side, correct? Where you
so you
cut.
Can see this side better.
You want to take the video?
You just want to walk around real fast.
There are piles of dirt. All right.
You can see down here, this right here, this side is the Orangeburg that's 66 years old. The green right here is what we just put in, the new PVC. This black piece right here, that's the rubber splice.
Okay.
And you can see these two metal bands. You just screw, or like I said, ratchet or screw them down, and you just get them really tight, and it just suctions in compression fit around the thing, so it seals it.
Okay. Well, good to know. So if someone did not have experience with a backhoe, do you think this would be possible for them?
If they did not have experience with a backhoe, or if they didn't know anyone with experience with a backhoe, honestly, it'd still probably be cheaper to just hire someone to come and dig it than to have some other company do the whole thing, because a plumbing company is gonna hire the excavator company anyways, and then they're gonna mark it up. So you hiring the excavator yourself saves you the money either way. But let's just say you wanted to do it yourself. Honestly, digging the dirt is not that hard. You can figure that out, even if you've never done it before, as long as you have kind of a good feel of, once you get in it, you'll start to get a feel of how the handles work, and you do this and it moves the bucket at the same time you're moving the arm and all that. Really, I mean, on your own lawn, if you were doing it, I feel like you could probably do it on your own. The only thing you want to be concerned about is just being very careful around the connections. If you don't have experience, I would say try to leave at least a foot of caution room between yourself, your bucket, and the pipe you're replacing.
You mean you're talking about when you're actually digging, like when you start to hand dig because of that connection? Okay.
Yeah, so then once you get within a foot, if you've never used a backhoe, I would say only go to within a foot and then use the shovel. But
and how did you know how deep this was? Do you remember?
Well,
the plumbing company, right?
The plumbing company told us, but it was also just, the plumbing comes out the bottom of the foundation, and we have an 8-foot basement, so it was 8 foot 6 inches deep.
That makes sense. Okay, so at this point, let's move back over here. Tell us what we're gonna do next, and what their next step would be after backhoeing, before putting the pipe in, really, or in this case after. But what are we doing over here?
Okay, well, so I guess as we could have showed before I put the pipe in. As it is, I've got the pipe in. So what you want to do is you want to take out your old pipe, obviously, and then you want to have a little bit of room on all the ends so you can get stuff in there. So you want to hand shovel out all the dirt, or pull the pipe out, and then you could go in with the backhoe and get the rest of it. But in our case, we just got down to the pipe, hand shoveled it all out. Then obviously you need the rubber splices. Okay, so then once you get the rubber splices and the connections, you actually need to check the slope of the plumbing pipe.
And how do we do that?
And how do you do that? You do that with a level, and the level's right there. And
this
so
handy thing. How much did that cost?
I don't know, it was like $10 at
Okay.
Walmart, so maybe 20. So that's not very expensive, and they're handy all the time anyway. So then what you do is you actually lay it. So you want to hand it to me?
Yes.
Here, I'll just show you. So you literally just you'll put it right on the pipe, and then you can look down right here, or however your level is, through this little slot.
And what are we looking for
And
here?
you're looking for a minimum of a quarter bubble. And a quarter bubble, you see the bubble and you see these two lines?
Let's zoom in so they can see that. Yeah, I got it.
So you see the bubble and the two lines?
Yes.
Right between the two lines is level. Like something like this, for example, that's like quarter bubble, that's half bubble, that's full bubble. So
And you want it right in the middle, hopefully, but
No. When you're doing the pipe,
you don't want it.
quarter.
That
No,
makes sense.
You don't want it. You want it to be a minimum quarter bubble so that it's flowing down.
Correct. It's flowing downhill.
However, in our case, and if you're replacing it, you're going to have an existing pipe here, an existing pipe there, and you're just going in between them. So you just want to make sure you've matched the slope between them. In our case, it was a full bubble. So, and when it comes to the sewage lines, you don't want to have too steep, because then the water will go and it'll leave the solids behind. But in our case, there wasn't anything we can do. That's how it is, and so that's just how we had to connect it. And it's working fine as long as it's not like super duper steep. But like a full bubble, it really wasn't that bad. So.
Okay, and tell us about this gravel here on the top. What are we doing here?
Yeah, so the gravel on the top, so that's a good point. When you're doing it yourselves, once you take the pipe out, you should put gravel down below it.
Before putting the new
Before
one.
putting the pipe in, then you have the pipe and you put gravel on the sides and on the top. And it's to help with settling of the pipe. Can you imagine if you just put the pipe in like this and then you put all this dirt on, it'll start to bend the pipe down below it. Instead, what we did is we went and we compacted it because I didn't have gravel at the time. And now we're putting gravel on the sides and top, and that'll again just give it stiffness down here underground. So when you put soil on top of it, it doesn't bow, but it remains stiff. So,
Perfect. And how much gravel is needed?
I mean, that you just have to do the math for it. You know, if you need.
Well,
say,
no. You want about how many inches in total?
Oh, inches. Yeah. So, I mean, it depends. The inspector that came here, he said 6 inches total. So, I mean, if you had, 3 inches below and 3 inches halfway up the pipe, or if you had 1 inch below, 4 inch of pipe, 1 inch on top, he just said 6 inches. Now that's probably, debatable depending on who you ask. That's what the inspector told us.
And so basically local regulations, you'd probably just want to call your city and find out from the inspector how much gravel is needed, correct?
Yeah.
Super friendly guys here in Clearfield. We had a good conversation.
Yeah, that's good.
So we're gonna take this, and we've only done a small section of the gravel, so we're gonna continue to do that all the way up to where?
All the way up to just where the existing splice is.
Okay, so
And the reason we're not
so the
doing-
other pipe where it connects.
Yeah, we're not doing further than that because that's undisturbed soil.
Okay.
So you really just need the gravel where you've disturbed the soil.
So basically just where the pipe is that you've added.
Correct.
Do you want to do also on top of the rubber itself, or does that not matter so much?
Yeah, I still would, because you want to do a few inches on either direction, or even a foot, just because, I mean, wherever you've disturbed soil, so you've obviously had to take the soil out to get the connection on. So and we've already done that here, but we'll do more as we go. So.
Okay, so as we're doing the gravel after that, what are we gonna do?
Okay, so after you do the gravel, you get it compacted, you want to put probably 2 feet of dirt back on. And once you've gotten 2 feet, stop putting dirt in, and then you need to compact it. So you can rent, there's different kinds of equipment you can rent, and you'll rent it. Some of it's like a vibrator or a kind of like a hammer jack that just comes and pounds the soil and compacts it. And then once you've done 2 feet, you want to do that. I mean, depending on how stiff your soil is, but at least in our case, our soil is very soft. So once we get that first 2 foot layer down, we pack it. We're going to do it probably every 18 inches as we put more soil down. Every 18-inch lift, compact.
And so again, there are equipment pieces called compactors, and you rent that, or you can purchase it.
Yeah, and they've got all sorts of different names. There's like a flat plate, and there's just different names. You can rent them at Home Depot or wherever else.
Do you have an idea of the cost on that?
Probably in the neighborhood of, I haven't called around here yet, but probably around $50 a day.
Okay.
I mean, it's kind of, they're kind of small. It might be $100 a day, but it's like renting a tiller or something. Just small equipment. You throw it in your truck, you bring it here, and you.
So every 18 inches to 2 feet, you're going to compact as you put the dirt on, and then after, at what point do you stop compacting? Just when you're at the top, when we're back up here?
When we're up here.
Okay.
And in the end, we're probably going to have extra dirt.
All right, awesome.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to tell them? So if we were to break that into steps, step
Break it
one.
into steps. Well, step one is don't pay the plumber.
Don't pay the plumber.
Save your money, don't pay the plumber.
DIY.
DIY. Step two, obviously you need to figure out what your city regulations are, what you need for a permit, what you as a homeowner can do. Because some cities might require a contractor. I'm not sure, but you need to figure out what your city allows. So then find out what the plumber, so you also need to have information. And so in our case, the plumbers, they sent the camera down and they wanted to show us how bad it was. But because we saw where it was and how bad it was where it was at, we knew what we needed to fix. So step two, you do need information.
And those are, here in Utah, free quotes from plumbers where they put the camera down.
And they'll run it down to tell you how much it would cost to do this.
Okay.
So yeah, I'd say step one is get the information of where the pipe is bad. If you can tell that it's, because they'll have as you run it down, it'll tell you how many feet of line it's run. So in our case, it was like at 50 feet from the back where they started, it was to right here was about 50 feet. So then we just saw that it was the next 25 feet that needed to get replaced as they went down, and they went all the way out to the thing. It was 100 feet. So that information told us that we could replace the bad portion that was in our lawn. Step 2, get a permit. Then once you've got a permit, you also need to call Blue Stakes or do it on the internet. You need to have them come and mark the utilities, and assuming that your utilities are away from your main plumbing line, you'll be good to go, just to then get a backhoe.
And before that, you do tell them that it's an emergency, or you tell them the situation is the main sewer and they consider that an emergency.
Yeah, and so they'll do it the next day.
Same day or next day.
Because otherwise, they can sometimes take up to 3 days if you don't do that. So, I mean, if you've got time, you can just do whatever. But if you don't have time, tell them that, you know, it's an emergency. And there's a little box you click and open, and anyways, they'll come out and do that. Then once you've got Blue Stakes marked, you've got your permit, and everything else is kind of, you're ready to go. You mobilize your front lawn, you know, move the tree, the little trees, the big trees. Move the little bushes. That's what we did. We moved these 2 little bush tree things and that one over there. And then we kind of knew the path we were going to take because it was marked right here. The plumber marked it where it came out of the house. And if a plumber doesn't mark it...
Oh, right. There's a tiny green...
mark?
Hold on, let's see if they can see that.
Now, if the plumber doesn't mark it, I mean, you might have to just figure out how you're going to know where you're...
I'm sure if you ask them, you know, show me where you're going to... Just say, where are you going to dig the hole?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's where you know where to start.
So then at that point you dig down, and again, once you get close to your existing stuff, you don't want to keep using the backhoe and tear it up, because you need to be able to look at it and see what you're working with. So then from there, just try to stay, you know, a few inches above it as you go back and throw the dirt back. Then once you see the existing pipe, you remove the existing pipe, put in the gravel underneath it, put in the new pipe, and again, can figure out your splice, your connector size. You just measure the circumference of what you're connecting to. You get those 2 rubber things, you put them on, you check it, you make sure you're level.
Make sure no one flushes the toilet while you're doing this.
Make sure no one flushes the toilet. And if they do, at least just make sure it's only like they wash their hands. Nothing scary.
Nothing solid.
Yeah. So then once you've done that, you get your piece in, and at that point you might need an inspection, which is what we needed. We had to wait for an inspector to come. And
by the way, a plumbing company will take 3 days to do the project, and I'd say it's about that long. I mean, we could have actually done it all in 1 day. If you're able to get the inspector to come out same day, you can back home and get this entire project done in a single day.
Yeah, we start about 11 a.m. and we're done at 1:50. So
with the hole and replacing the pipe. And how many people helped with this? Well, give a shout out and a thank you.
Yeah, so my brother David ran the backhoe. Thanks, David. Seriously, appreciate it so much. My brother Daniel, he came and helped me shovel, and then my father, he was here and he just kind of talked and helped, and he went and bought the pipe and the connections. My sweet wife, she was inside with the kids, making sure that our 5-year-old wasn't jumping down here, falling all over the place. But she also was here just talking to me and kind of giving us consultation and stuff. So, I mean, really, mostly the manpower, we needed 1 person running the backhoe, 1 person with a shovel. Now, I had my other brother here with the shovel, and my dad, he was doing the pipes and everything. So the more hands you get, the better.
Awesome. All right, any final words do you want to say as far as you can do it, you can't do it? What would you say? We're $20,000 richer because we didn't have to spend it, right?
I mean, you know, I was really close just because I really wasn't sure. I mean, this is the first time we've ever replaced something this major. Now, in the past, we had, you know, when we built homes with my dad's company, we put in plumbing lines, so it's not been a big deal when it's the fresh one going in. But replacing it, I was a little concerned, so was Bethany. But we slept on it, and we just knew we wanted to exhaust every option before we decided to sign off on a $20,000 expense. So, I mean, I would just say consider all your options, and
realize also that the plumbers put a lot of pressure on you to do it. We had a hard time getting them out of our house.
We did, yeah. we had to ask them multiple times, and I mean, we even left and went for a walk and came back. Anyways, they eventually did leave. They're great guys. They just, you know, this is a lot of money, a big project for their company, so it would have, you know, they would have liked to have gotten it. But at the end of the day, if you don't have insurance that would help pay for a plumbing company to do this, I mean,
which most don't. I don't know if
which most
any
don't.
do.
Well, yeah, I mean, it just depends on your homeowner's insurance. You'll just have to talk to your agent about that. But again, you know, we're gonna save a minimum of $18,000. Like, if the project seems overwhelming to you, just keep in mind, $18,000 will buy you a lot of ice cream to wash away your stress.
You know, four trips to Europe with your family.
I mean, a couple years old vehicle, or if you think like, you know, a Subway sandwich, it's like 3,000 Subway sandwiches. So I mean, it's 10 years worth of Subway you could save by doing this. So, anyways,
right.
yeah, just, you know, think it through, and if you know, even if you're nervous, but if you feel like your hands can do it, I say do it.
Awesome. All right. Thank you all the
Catch you
viewers
guys
for
next
watching
time.
this. Good luck with your sewer problems as well. We're rooting for you. Have a great day. And this is our first video, so I don't know that there will be any subscribing. But if you have any questions, please comment. We're happy to help. James has a background in structural engineering as well as construction, plumbing, electrical. Any kind of questions that you guys have, we're happy to help. Let us know if there are other videos you'd like to see, and maybe we'll do one of the final projects.
Yeah.
Take care.